Dean here, Dean78904. That is the daily fantasy handle that'll hopefully be taking down some tournaments, or at least, let's at least min cash. Let's try to make some money this evening. We're in the midst of the early slate. The 5-gamer still going down. Very, very gross 5-gamer, but of course you can make money on gross slate. Sure, why not? Tonight, 7-gamer, myself and Tasteful Tides, Tim, the curmudgeon himself, the hater of fun. What's going on, Tim? How are things in your world? Things all good? Are we sweating the early slates just yet? Did we dabble in that gross slate? I dabbled. We had a show, so you got to play along. But yeah. Corbin Carroll just homered, by the way.
Oh, I don't have.
Sorry.
Him. I dabbled. I don't know if I'm going to win or not. I think I'm kind of hovering around the cash line. I did pitch Nelson and Darvish, obviously Darvish, and
nice.
Nelson's doing quite well. But I did a little 3-man with San Diego with the Reds, and I don't think my San Diego boys are really up to what I need them to do.
Nope, they're currently getting shutouts. Coors is doing its thing on the flop lag, 10-5, bottom of the 6th. Not a lot of homers in that game for what it's worth. I think, let's see, Molly, of course, Molly, the cheap catcher homers for Cincinnati, and the Rockies now have 11 runs and still no homers. Kind of a bummer. Dustin May got hurt. I think it was his elbow, and that's not good because, it's not good for anybody, but he's got a history of, I think it was his elbow. Wasn't it Tommy John he's coming back from? So that stinks. Hopefully it's not too serious. It was precautionary. I just saw that apparently somebody else just left for Stripling. He wasn't pitching spectacular, but he also left the game for some reason. They brought in Chaminade, so I guess he's out of the rotation, as he probably should be. He's kind of terrible. But hey, we don't care. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. No, I was just saying, Manaea is he's not what he once was at all. Like, he's absolute garbage. So
it's not good.
He's not good. I don't blame them at all for putting him in the bullpen.
He was one of those guys in the preseason, like they were talking about his velocity being up, and he's pitching for San Fran, and I bought it in some of my best ball teams. But it's not good. I mean, it wasn't like a big 15th, 20th round or whatever it was, but still not spectacular. Do want to say happy birthday to Mr. Richard in the chat. There you go. Apparently it's Mr. Richard's birthday. Also, it's Brian Bayo's birthday, and you want to feel old, Tim. Brian Bayo, Prince wrote a song about his birthday. He was born 1999. So, yeah, on this slate today. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. We can play the results as far as narrative street, but Bayo, pitching for Boston tonight, is celebrating a birthday as well. J3 says, I had my crew do a scallywag drink special in honor of Dean. First of all, I'm just jealous. I don't have a crew. Do you have a crew? How do I get a crew? Where do we get a crew from? Well, what kind of crew does he have? What's he rolling? Like 7 deep?
I mean, that's like an entourage, right? Like, I mean, that's like the real deal. If you got like 7 deep, that's more than a crew. I think a crew is more of like a 3 or 4 type.
Yeah,
7's like an entourage. Like if you're going over 5, that's an entourage.
Officially on the show Entourage, I believe it was like 4 was like the core number, if I'm not mistaken. Not the actually you.
That's been so long. I don't even remember the show.
I just remember hate watching it. I hate watched it at the end. I really did not like. That's one of those shows where like I was pot committed, but I did not like where the last several seasons were rough. And they made a movie like 12 years later. I don't know who was asking for it, but they did it. I never saw the movie. I can't imagine it's good, but like whatever.
What about Secession?
What about it? It's spectacular.
Well, see, I think it's overrated. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I think it's a little bit overhyped. That's all.
I mean, name a better show that's currently available. Like it's running new episodes every single week.
Yeah, I mean, that's valid. I'm just talking about like in terms of like all-time classics, Dean. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like.
Nostalgia doesn't lose. That's the problem. How do you beat nostalgia?
Where does it rank? You know what I mean? Like, where does it rank amongst all these like binge watch, shows that we still love years later? That's my issue with it, because I don't think it holds up to like the Breaking Bads or the Larry David stuff and all that. Like, I think it's gonna get kind of forgotten in a couple years. That's my
no. It's not going to get forgotten. It's going to be in assuming it sticks to landing, and I am confident it sticks to landing. It's on that path.
Yeah,
we'll see. But I think, and look, if we can have differences, sure. But to say it's just going to get lost in the conversation, it's going to be there for a long time, in my opinion.
All right.
If it's not in your top 5, your top 10, cool. I mean, there's a lot of great shows, and we can disagree, which is fine. But I think, and like if you look at critic stuff, if you care about that, or even audience stuff, the numbers on it are spectacular on Rotten Tomatoes. Derek says Sopranos #1 all time, and yeah, maybe it is. I'm not going to say you're wrong. It's probably not mine, but it's probably top 5. And again, that's a nostalgia thing too, right? Like you love this. You think about the Sopranos. Oh man, that was spectacular 20 years ago. Kirkwood in chat saying, yeah, go ahead.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't think it's going to hold up to shows like The Sopranos. It's just going to keep falling is my point. Like, you obviously got Sopranos, Breaking Bad, the Seinfeld stuff, the Larry David stuff. Like, those are all going to be like top 10. And I think Succession just gets kicked out. That's my take.
All right, fair enough. I think it's going to be there for a long time. Michael's saying Dexter is overrated. And I think Dexter kind of had a bit of an entourage thing where if they would have stopped after so many seasons, it would be thought of much better. But it really was rough. I don't know if you're a Dexter guy the last couple seasons.
I'm actually rewatching Dexter right now.
Do you believe that Dexter? It famously has one of the worst series finales of all time. No.
Yeah, but The Sopranos does too.
I disagree. I like the maybe I'm a contrarian, but I like the
finale though, because didn't they come back with more Dexter?
Yeah, it's a separate show though.
Yeah,
it's a separate show.
It was kind of a reboot, and without giving anything away, it was kind of a reboot, and it was almost like we're going to give you another story to make you forget how bad our series finale was. Okay. I feel like that's what it was. People are saying Game of Thrones has the worst series finale. I didn't hate Game of Thrones as much as other people did, for the record. I did as far as the finale.
Yeah.
Dexter, you watch the Trinity season and stop there. Season 3, is that what it is with the guy? And then it's wow, what a great show.
I'm going to watch the whole thing, Dean. I'm just going to be disappointed at the end because I already know that I'm going to be disappointed at the end, so I might as well finish it.
But you're going to rewatch even the last season and the last 2 seasons? You're going to give up and move on to something else.
I hate fun, Dean. I hate fun. I might as well watch it.
You don't have to punish yourself. All right. How fun is tonight's slate? Tonight's Mlb Dfs slate. We have a 7-gamer. A lot of good pitching. I feel much better about the pitching as opposed to the hitting. I'm curious to get your thoughts. Of course, that is backed up by Spencer Strider, who's like the best pitcher in the world. His K rate is completely insane. 42.9% specifically, which is just outrageous. Gerrit Cole, the next biggest K rate on the slate at 27.4%. He is benefited by the absence of Vladdy. No Vladdy Guerrero. I believe he's dealing with what does he have? A foot? A back? What body part they give him? A leg? It doesn't matter. He's not starting tonight. Eovaldi's been really solid, but of course he's got a tough matchup against Atlanta, and like that's kind of the Gerrit Cole story. Tough matchup against Toronto. A little bit not as tough without Vladdy, of course. Let's see. Senga taking on Tampa, which is supposed to be. I still don't fully understand how Tampa's doing it with wizardry and but they've been spectacular this season, and Senga better as far as his walks, but still the walks are a little bit too plentiful. The Ks are pretty good on the season, of course. 14.1% walks that's a lot. There's Corbin Burns. If you cover the name up, he looks very, pedestrian, average. You look at his stats for the season, it's just really underwhelming. I think it's going into a free agent season too, if I'm not mistaken. Soon he's supposed to be a free agent, so bad timing for him. But and there's the cheap rookie, kind of cheap rookie. Not like 4K flat, but that's where I'm interested. Liberatore for St. Louis. I'm curious where the field's going to be on with him. FanDuel, by the way, if you guys are playing on FanDuel in the middle of the day or in the morning or at some point, FanDuel did add him to the pool because he was not in there last night. You can now play Liberatore, starting pitcher for St. Louis, legit prospect. Milwaukee, the worst hitting team, maybe the second worst hitting team outside of Colorado. Might have changed last night. We talked about that earlier today with Stevie. But they're terrible versus lefties, and they strike out a ton versus lefties. Liberatore, again, legit prospect, taking them out for St. Louis tonight. I feel pretty good about him. I want to save some salary and open some stuff up as far as the bats. What's your overview? I'm a little bit flustered as far as what stacks I like. I'm curious where you are on that because there's no stack where I'm like, man, I gotta get this. Even Bayo, by the way, I think it's an interesting cheapie on DK. Prospect, he's been up and down, a lot of down, but he shows signs. He looks legit if you watch him, but of course, again, he's still kind of figuring stuff out. Big ground ball guy too. What is your 30,000 foot view, the screenshot, however you want to phrase it, as far as tonight's slate?
I definitely have like a love-hate relationship with this slate. I love it because we don't have stupid Cincinnati Red bats at Coors Field on it. There's no Coors Field, which I love. And I tend to really love slates where there isn't like that condensed ownership on one particular stack, especially as like a single entry 3-max player, where I really have to like make a decision about am I going to be playing the chalk or not, right? So on this slate, you don't really have that, but I also hate it because it's a pretty hard slate. You mentioned Spencer Strider; he's the obvious play. I would say that you're going to want to try to get as overweight to him as possible. But after that, there's really a lot of different ways that you can go. Like you could potentially double pay up at pitching for Strider, Cole, or even Eovaldi, or there's this really really juicy mid range at SP2.
Yep.
Liebertor, and then there's also where did he go? Oh, JP France for the Astros going up against the Cubs. And then Bayo, who's got the birthday narrative, pretty good spot, super, super cheap. Like you could go Strider Bayo. I also think another really kind of maybe interesting play is Mike Clevinger, maybe for just large field stuff, just because that Cleveland lineup is awful. No Naylor, no J Ram.
It's bad.
That's a really really ugly lineup, and so I'm not really endorsing Clevinger, but in terms of his price and that lineup in a large field GPP, I say go for it. But so like with pitching, it's obviously Strider at the top. That's the no brainer. But then there's like a lot of different ways that you can go, and like you said, with bats, it's pretty ugly. Like it might be kind of a night where you don't full stack, or you take some kind of like super super low own, more like pricey one offs or something like that, just to like break
hunt
up
for homers.
Yeah, hunt for homers, right? Yeah, like it's a weird. This is a very strange slate, which I kind of like because I just feel like I don't have to like feel pressure to like make a big decision on a terrible Cincinnati Reds bats or whatever or whoever it is. I don't have to do that on this slate. I can just kind of pick and choose who I want to play.
Yeah, Reds currently down 11-5, bottom of the 7th. Let's see. Anything else of notes as far as the other slate? Kansas City. Oh, we have bases loaded for your Padres, but I don't know if you have Grisham up to the plate, bases loaded. Looks like Odor just drew a walk. Biggest team total on the board. Nobody gets to 5, but 4.98. Want to get technical, it's not 5. Boston's got the biggest team total, facing one of the more vulnerable pitchers, Marco Gonzalez. It's a lot of lefties in the Boston side, so I'm a little bit conflicted with that. Maybe just sort of bet. Who cares? Marco Gonzalez is not going to like miss the bats on the left-handed side. Verdugo and Devers, Yoshida, even Duran all the way down to the 8 spot against Marco Gonzalez. And again, Bayo, I'm a believer in Bayo. You talked about Clevinger, and I agree. I liked your point on Clevinger. Just you're almost just playing the matchup because that Cleveland team, without their 2 best hitters, their 2 best power hitters, I would say, it's not good. It's not a good lineup there. If you look at the plate IQ, Tyler Freeman doesn't count. It's a 2 plate appearance sample size. He's the only guy in the green. Otherwise, it's pure red, right? There's just no power. Of course, Clevinger was once very good. By the way, this is a revenge game, right? Wasn't Clevinger best on Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken?
I think so. Yeah.
Right? It's a good spot to get your revenge game, right? I don't know if it's a first blood. He's probably faced them since, but it's a really bad lineup on this Cleveland side. It's if you're running large field stuff, I think I just feel a little bit better about Bayo than Clevinger. They're basically the same price.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference amongst those two?
Yeah, in a vacuum, I would definitely take Bayo. Straight up, yes. Let me check ownership though. That's the real thing. I mean, I guess they're both going to be pretty low owned, so I guess that really doesn't matter. So yeah, I guess if Bayo's really going to be that low owned, then I guess it doesn't really matter. I thought that Bayo would be a little bit heavier owned, and that Clevinger would be like a good leverage point off of him. But if Bayo's going to be that low owned, then yeah, I would prefer Bayo.
I think Seattle's going to be kind of popular. Maybe I'm wrong to think that, but in Fenway. By the way, it's going to be pretty cold there. I see
I was going
Kirkwood
to
in
say,
chat.
the
Boots on the grounds.
weather edge is like really not like in Fenway today. 53 degrees, negative 13.2 home runs, negative 12.1 total runs. I guess it's only a 25 game sample size. You have to check with Kirkwood about the dew point. Very, very, very low dew point. So that might
What
make
does that mean?
I don't know. We need Kirkwood to say something in chat.
He's still just in beta, so his answers are non-committal usually. Roth probably can give us some more clarity on that later on, but I'm not sure. Kirkwood actually in chat has just responded that it's cold. Well, thank you. We know it's cold. It's 50. Actually, is 53 cold to you? That's not cold to you, right?
I'm north of Kirkwood, so 53 is like shorts and t-shirts for me. But maybe not at Fenway.
When are you putting on a hoodie? When are you putting on pants? What degrees are we talking about?
Oh man.
Assuming you leave the house at some point.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't left the house in so long. I'd have to think about that.
There's fun out there to be had. We don't want to cross that.
Like 40, like 45, maybe 45, 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would laugh.
It's freezing outside at where I live right now. I mean, it's cold.
You're on the water though, right?
Oh yeah.
So I guess it's a little bit cooler there.
Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to see if there's anything else interesting of notes as far as the Weather Edge tool. Mets, no matching historical data. That's interesting. What's going on in Mets Stadium? That's so goofy. Like, this stadium's not that old.
Sometimes they've had trouble like pulling up data sometimes onto this page, so maybe they're just having a little bit of an error. That might be it. I'm not sure. The automated one looks like there's really nothing going on. 60 degrees, a 19-mile-an-hour wind blowing in from left. So I mean that seems not that good for hitting, but I don't know.
Slight downgrade for pitching. For hitting in St. Louis, Milwaukee-St. Louis game. And it's just weird, by the way. Corbin Burns, I don't know if this was like respect for Liberatore or it's like Burns just kind of like being rough this season. Is it kind of weird that that game's a coin toss to you? Or maybe it's also Milwaukee's lineup is not as good as St. Louis lineup, but just as a thought process, like Burns versus Liberatore, it's a coin toss.
Well, Liberatore's no joke, and I think that's more of an indictment of Milwaukee's lineup. Like you got Owen Miller batting leadoff, Darren Ruff batting cleanup. Like I'm not really that enthused. I mean, there's a reason Liberatore's projecting so well, right? It's not just because he's like a top prospect. It's also because this Milwaukee lineup is really bad. I mean, this slate is so weird. So many of these teams are like trotting out these horrible, like really, really, really watered down lineups. It's an interesting slate. Like the thing that really sticks out to me is that the White Sox have the second highest team total on the board. I mean, it's the White Sox. Like
it's Peyton Battenfield. That's why.
I know, but it's still the White Sox. Like they're absolutely terrible, and they have a higher team total than the Astros. It's like I don't know. It's just it's a really, really weird slate.
That at least it stuck up on me that the field there in Chicago is one of the more hitter friendly fields than I expected. In my head, not too like I mean I've been digging into this stuff lately, but I think it was Carty that pointed it out how good it is for homers now. So it's a pretty good hitting ballpark. Of course, that Chicago lineup is not spectacular. Battenfield is underwhelming as a starter. Let's say like he's not a guy that came in with a ton of pedigree or whatever. He's just sort of he throws baseballs. He's fine, but like I think there's not like a long history of this guy being good or expected to be good. But just the White Sox lineup is not especially great. Some of them are cheap. You mentioned Liberatore projecting really well. It's funny. I have the MLB RotoGrinders projections. I wonder if like the bat because the bat typically does not like rookies. I wonder if it's like kind of go ahead.
Points per dollar, he's quite strong, and for raw points, he is number 6 overall.
So the RotoGrinders MLB Plate IQ projections have him just under 13 points. Wait, is it basically the same? 12.81. Is it the same?
We have the bat has him at 15.
Interesting. Okay, but that's interesting because typically the bat does not like rookies. And should have mentioned Libator came up last year, cup of coffee, and he wasn't good. He was not very good. And whatever, he's developed since then, and he's been very good this year in AAA in the minors. And again, I don't think his Brewer is very good. As far as leash, he went 7 innings. I don't know how many pitches he threw, but he did go 7 innings last time out. So I assume if he's pitching fine, the leash is not a concern, and also you're getting a bit of a discount as well. Where are we at as far as ownership on him? Because I didn't think he was going to be fairly popular. I think I was the only one, actually, if I'm not mistaken, or people have changed their names around. I think I was the only person to even rank him. We only ranked 6 pitchers, and I wanted to rank more for the record. You probably did as well. Mr. Tuttle, Head Chopper, yourself, myself. You didn't rank him. Would you have him 7? Consensus, of course, is Strider, then Burns, then Cole, Bassett, the Hound, Eovaldi, France. I was the only one not to rank France for the record. Bayo, Senga, and Libator. Where would you put Libator? 7 behind Bayo?
I guess I would. Yeah, just because it's such a top heavy kind of board for pitching, and then obviously I wanted to get Bayo in there too. So, but yeah, Libator is projecting for 8% ownership on lineup HQ and 11% ownership on the bat. So, blend those two together, let's say 10, but that doesn't seem like he's going to be that chalky.
You like your single entry contest. I like my single entry contest as well. And I'm almost definitely leaning in on Strider. But I think if that ownership kind of holds, and we know like the chalk, especially chalk pitchers, tend to get pushed up in single entry. As far as ownership, again, we have Strider at 62%. Beyond that, Burns 25. This is DK for what it's worth. Cole 20. Eovaldi's 20. Senga 17. Bassett 16. France 12. Libator 8. If that holds, I think Strider and Libator might be my single entry pairing. What do you think of that?
I think it's great. I'm kind of between Strider Cole, Strider Burns, Strider Libator, or Strider Bayo. That's kind of like the 4. That's like the 4 options that I'm kind of building teams as we speak right now, like just to kind of see what spits out when I do it on lineup HQ. But that's the 4 combinations as far as I'm concerned in terms of single entry. But yeah, I'm sure that's going to be like a very, very straightforward combination. That's not really going to sneak up on anybody, but I think that Strider is obviously a must. And then it's, I also like JP France quite a bit. Like before Libator, showed up, because it was originally going to be Adam Wainwright, I think, that was supposed to start today.
Yes.
So when that got switched, before that got switched, I was all over. I wanted to pitch JP France as a pivot away from Burns, or as like a pay down option away from Cole. So now it's added another little wrinkle to this already strange slate.
Sell me on France, because I'm a little bit biased against I don't know if it's an ageist or prospectist. I'm not really sure what that term would be. But he making his MLB debut at 28 is just kind of a concerning thing. I believe he went to college. So, he went to college, was drafted out of college at 21, 22, whatever it was. But, that to me, it just seems like a bit of a red flag. I don't know if I'm trying to see if he had any injury concerns throughout the years. I know he wasn't like a big, prospect in the ranks for Houston. He's not one of their top guys. So I guess I have to get over that.
I'll just say this, AAA numbers, 2021, 2022, 2023, around a 30% K rate. So, yeah. And then also no Nico Horner, no Cody Bellinger in that Cubs lineup. It's definitely
Christopher Morel's in there though.
Yeah, that is true. And he does have some pretty high walk numbers in AAA. So it seems to me like this could be like a boom or bust type option. But Libator is definitely more talented, right? But
yeah,
it's just another one of these matchups. Like I think if you're making 20 teams, you could have 1 or 2 of them. I think if you're making 150, he definitely should be in the pool. Just because this Cubs lineup is so awful. So
So many strikes. You're a lot of strikeout potential there too. Not to cut you off, but 27.5% collectively versus righties. Now, like France has not been great in his sample. What as far as strikeouts, 18.2%. The walks have been good.
Right.
Yeah.
Small sample in the majors though. Like pretty better sample at AAA, high K rate AAA. Like I know, and it's like I feel like he's facing kind of a glorified AAA team tonight. So
he's like 27 years old in AAA, facing guys 10 years younger.
I'm not talking about this guy in 5 years though, Daniel. I'm talking about him. I'm talking about him tonight. You know.
No, you're right. You're right. That's like he's facing 18-year-olds at 26. Like he better be good. Yeah, that's more of like a single A, double A thing, I suppose. But Kirkwood's in chat. Is he chirping about which I was gonna make a bet with these characters, but like I'm gonna lose, right? Because I got the Heat, he's got the Celtics, and my Heat probably lose this series. Maybe I'll get some juice or I'll figure it out. But I already have a rooting interest. I'm already rooting for Miami, but like the Celtics, they should win. They should definitely win. Did you watch the basketball last night with Denver taking on the Denver Jokic's taking on the Lakers? That was incredible.
I watched the first half and I thought the game was over. Apparently, I missed like a very entertaining second half. Apparently,
yeah.
I only watched the first half.
Yeah, gonna be a fun series. The Lakers made a game of it late, and Jokic's final line was completely insane. I'm sure you saw his first half line. You probably thought the game was over just looking at his stats. Like, oh, well, the game must be over because, nobody else. Yeah, his stats look like they're complete. Okay. Chat, feel free to throw any questions out by all means. We're happy to answer your questions, whatever's on your mind. Myself and Tim, we're here for the next still 45 minutes or so until we yield to the Crunch Time crew. We got Derek Carty. We have Dave Potts. We have Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. Carty's going to get a beating again in the chat. The Nolan Arenado stuff. Nolan Arenado hurt him. He's hot now. He's officially hot. 5 or 6 home runs with consecutive games homered. I think it's 5 days, maybe 6 days. They're going to give him the business for sure. And even Dave is like the nicest guy in the world. But like Potts, I saw tweeted out something last night. Basically, it was kind of a shot at Carty, I think. He's like, these 7 guys, like the last 19 years, like nobody's got this many RBI, this many home runs, except for like these 8 amazing players and Nolan Arenado. So yeah, I like when they mix it up. It's always kind of fun, a healthy disagreement. And Roth is always so uncomfortable. He just does not know how. He just.
I would really want to host that show between those 2 guys arguing. That wouldn't be that fun for me.
I thought you would kind of flip it, and that would actually be something that would be fun for you. But no, the chalk answer is the chalk answer. It would not be fun for you.
It would not be fun. Correct.
Let's see. DK Cash SP2 options. It's a good question. I am not playing cash tonight.
It's a very good question, and I'm really kind of thinking about that right now.
You playing cash?
Oh yeah, I play on DK. I don't usually play cash on Fanduel, but on DK, I almost like every single night play cash.
Let's talk it out because I think one of the reasons why, and you tell me otherwise, you put more thought in this than I have, and you were kind of talking about as far as your SP2 pairing in tournaments or single entry contests. We don't really, and not to speak for you, but like we don't really love any particular stack or even any particular bat necessarily. Like, oh my God, I need this bat. It's going to cost me Garrett Cole. And it's like, I like Liberatore. I like Bayo. I think Burns is interesting, but like he's been on, there's no other way of saying it. He's been uneven this year for sure. And you're getting a bit of a discount, but in cash, you want that quote unquote floor. No, there's no Vladdy. What are you really hurting as far as your hitters? If you don't really need any hitters, I'm stressing, wants and needs, right? There's no hitters you necessarily need. Why not just get Cole and Strider? And okay, maybe your bats aren't as good as the next guy. You get a downgrade 1 or 2 here there. But what are you really missing? Because there's not anybody dramatically like, oh man, this person can really ruin my night. You tell me, is that your thought process? I'm assuming you're thinking something along those lines.
That's exactly my thought process. I think if you're playing cash, you should play Strider and Cole, and that's the end of it. And I wouldn't overthink it, and I would get some White Sox bats with that really, really nice, implied team total. If they hit that team total, then you're going to be in really great shape. I think that there are some value hitters on the Red Sox also. You know, so there's enough value. And so if you're playing, so usually what I do is I make a cash game team, and then I make a single entry team that I put in single entries, and I might put in like a 3 max or that 4 max 250 contest or something like that. And I'll usually do like a little bit of variation, like a 2v2 or 3v3. I think my single entry team tonight is going to be completely different than my cash game team. Because it's just kind of a weird slate where it's like I just want to get completely different with my single entry team. But if you're just playing cash, I think you got to go Strider Cole.
You know how like Blender talks about, I'm sure you heard him talk about this before, and I'm repackaging and I'm phrasing it a different way, but basically, especially like in like the 5-man stuff, or you know, you find a way to be distinctly different off the chalk lineup without giving up much projection. You can do like a 5v5 in your single entry and be like a point off the projection, and like it's that close. This feels like a really good night to be distinctly different in single entry stuff, which a lot of people throw either their cash lineup in single entry or like a cash game on steroids, right? So I like that. I like that approach. Some other questions in chat that I wanted to field. I saw a couple good ones. Yeah, Brian saying any interest in Garrett. I don't know if he mispronounced that. Is that, or is there something on my? It's Cole. Did he put a K in there? Okay, I don't know. Is the K and the L? All right, it's an honest mistake. The K and the L are right next to each other. Garrett, Garrett Cole. We just talked about Garrett Cole, and like I don't really love Cole, and I want Strider ahead of Cole if I'm Fanduel. But if you can get them both at what cost? Not that high, sure. It seems like we kind of agree.
Strider's the priority, but pairing them together is great for tournaments or cash. But Strider is by far the priority.
I think this is interesting. Dookies in chat is saying Tampa Bay does not strike out a lot. Well, you know what? I don't know what their season-long stuff is off the top of my head as far as striking out, but guess what? The starting lineup playing today, and that's all we care about. It's Daily Fantasy Sports today and today only. This lineup strikes out a ton. There's Wander Franco, who's a contact guy, 11.7%. This is dating back to last season versus righties. There's Paredes at 17.9%. Okay, sure, those guys are contact guys, but everybody else, 30% for Siri, Mejia 26%, Raleigh at 34%, Walls at 26%, Lowe and Lau, 28%, 25%, Arozarena 25%. It's a 25% collective strikeout lineup. So this iteration of the Tampa Bay lineup strikes out a good bit. So do you know top of your head? Doesn't matter, but as far as
Senga is now the number 2 raw point pitcher on the bat right now. Earlier in the day he was like 4th or 5th raw points. So I mean it's a big projection boost. I mean this is just my opinion. I'd still prioritize Cole in cash or GPP. That's just my take on it. Obviously, the projections are way smarter than I am. I don't really feel like I want to attack Tampa Bay. Now, if he's going to be super, super low owned, maybe you take shots on him. I think the bat's showing him at 15 right now, and we have him at 17. So it's fairly high. I mean, if he was lower than that, I could see getting to him in tournaments, but I still would rather get to Cole in all formats. And honestly, I'd rather get to Corbin Burns in all formats. So,
yeah, Senga's been pretty uneven. The walks finally went away last game, just 1 walk. But previous to that, right, the walks 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, which is just that's too many. That's too many for me. It's too many for my liking. How patient is this team for Tampa? Not the most patient. The middle of the lineup, pretty patient, but otherwise, collectively, 8.2% as far as grabbing walks, which is not spectacular. And by the way, to the point that was being made in chat, actually was correct. Tampa 21st in striking out this season, so they're a pretty contact-heavy lineup collectively. 21.8% is 21st in the league, the bottom third. But we care about tonight. We care about tonight's specific lineup, and tonight's specific lineup against this specific arm thrown from the right side is pretty strikeout heavy. This is another good question, and we don't really talk about enough. We got time to do so. Mike wants to know what % of your bankroll do you spend on a given slate? Does it vary based upon it's a 10-game slate and I love it? it's a 13-game slate and I hate it? Or is it just like, this is the lineup? I play these contests every single day, and that's that.
I have had huge swings in terms of bankroll over the last 6 years of playing DFS. I would say the rule might be like 1 to 2%. That would probably be what I would say. Have there been nights where I've won a lot of money, then played way too much the next night? Absolutely. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But I think 1 to 2%. But it's an important thing to manage, and it's an important thing to have conversations with yourself about what you're doing. I mean, it's an important thing to do.
Yeah, it's if you want to stick around and you want to play this game for many years, you probably need some bankroll management. You can certainly shoot up at the top, but you can burn out really quickly as well if you hit a rut. And Tim, you've been around long enough. I've been around long enough where you have these streaks where things are just not going great, and you're just like, well, I feel like my process is good, and I don't really know what just variance and whatever goofy stuff happens, and the game is tough. Like, that's the other part you forget. It's not designed to win.
Right.
For everybody
I started out playing $20 to $50 a night, and then a couple years later, I was playing $5,000 to $10,000 a night. Now I'm playing probably $500 to $1,000 a night. That's just the bottom line. I'm just going to be candid with people. Like, I've kind of played all levels, so it is what it is. But I've always played sustainably. Like, I'll go through ruts and I'll play smaller. Don't play bigger. Don't play bigger when you're going on these huge losing streaks. That's a big time mistake.
It's the martingale strategy, right? Just keep doubling down and eventually you'll get there. But
I'd much rather do that in blackjack than in DFS, though. I mean, really though. I mean,
By the way, I believe Altman just said a grand slam on the early slate. If you care about such things, the people care about such things. Somebody else is homer too, I believe. Looks like Cronenworth. A couple homers going on in the early slates. Hey, let me ask you this. When you say your bankroll, like 1% of your bankroll, 2% of your bankroll, and this is kind of a deeper conversation, I think, but I'm just curious because I never really know how to answer it. Is your bankroll like how much money you have on the sites? I don't think it is, right? It's how much money theoretically you have backed up, like in wherever you have it backed up.
You should really have a set amount, right? And it shouldn't have anything to do with any kind of real life funds that you have. It should really be a set amount of like, this is my money that I'm investing into DFS or I'm investing into sports betting. And if I lose it, that's it. And then I got to wait a certain amount of time to maybe set some more money aside. Don't go digging into your mortgage fund or your grocery fund, because that's just, that's bad. I mean, that's real bad news. You should have some money set aside, and if you think you're playing too high, you are. Like if you think you're playing too much money, then you are. That's what I try to tell my closest friends. Like, if it's too much money, if you think it's too much money,
your entourage.
I have a crew. I don't have an entourage. But
so you got 3 guys.
Yeah,
you don't have 7. Okay.
No, I don't know. Nowhere close to 17. Nowhere close. But, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like, just do something that you don't even have to worry about it if you lose, right?
That's like a question I want to ask on Twitter. Like, do people inherently, which is bigger? Which has more people in it, a crew or an entourage? Because in my head, it's like the same.
It's got to be entourage.
All right. I mean,
I just feel like entourage just sounds like a lot more people.
It does, but I think people's brains will be tainted. Maybe it's just me off the TV show where it was just 4 deep. So, how many people are in Money Mayweather's entourage? That's what they're asking. But maybe that's his crew. I don't know what he calls it, but I don't know. This is Brian saying entourage is larger, so maybe entourage is the chalk. All right, fair enough. I'm willing to listen to what the people have to say. Hey, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. You guys know at 10:30, they know this, right? I assume they know this. Will's Take Your Pick'em show. If you don't want to mess with making like an entire DFS lineup, if you want to get the best lines possible where they're not as sharp, We haven't been sharpened up all throughout the day. Where Will and all his people from the his entourage, his in the prop shop, in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Go to the prop shop. Prop shop is free. There are some premium channels that happens to be a free channel. They will find the most vulnerable lines. Well, he will find the most vulnerable lines. So point you in that direction. 10:30 in the morning on this very channel. I believe it's Monday through Friday every single day. Check out Chief Justice Will take your pick'em show. Occasionally, apparently, he will have some guests on as well. So just hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know at 10:25, 10:30 you'll be alerted how to take down underdog prize picks sites like that. Kirkwood's asking where his juggalos are at. I don't know. That's a bit, right? You're not. Does Tim know who the juggalos are? Is a fun question to ask.
No.
Are you aware of the juggalos?
No, I keep listening to these shows. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So.
You never thought to Google what that is, or you're afraid to
I was honestly worried about what would come up if I did.
That's fair.
I was like, I don't even want to go down that path, So I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, that's a reasonable take for sure. I don't know why favorite Winger song just came up in chat. I just know Winger as did you watch
Winger.
Beavis and Butthead? Are you aware of Beavis and Butthead, the TV show?
That's been a long time though. I haven't seen an episode of that for over 20 years, I think.
They've rebooted it on Paramount, I believe. If you care about such things, you want to watch the episodes. But Beavis and Butthead had this, not a friend, but this kid that kind of, one has Beavis and Butthead, one has Metallica, and the other one I think has AC/DC on their shirts. They represent legit good bands. And
right.
The friend that they make fun of has a Winger shirt. So I assume Winger's not very good, but I don't really know Winger very well.
I don't know.
I just know they're one of those bands from the 80s.
Yeah.
Matt in chat saying the new Beavis and Butthead episodes are great. So there you go. Get yourself some Paramount Plus.
Interesting.
Let's give a final thought as far as pitchers. We see. Oh, you know what? Somebody's asking about Bassett specifically, and I feel like we kind of just sort of went past him. Certainly, you can mention Chris Bassett, the Yankees. Kind of a scary lineup. By the way, don't be surprised if something goofy happens in this game. I don't know if you've been watching this series or not.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's actually a good point, Dean. I mean, you can't quantify that, but there's been a lot of tension, right? A lot of tension in this series. So.
Yes, the very first game was where Judge was peeking at the. Well, first thing was that the manager Girardi came out yelling at the umpire, and then finally things got settled down. And he was caught peeking at the dugout for some particular reason. Who knows? And then he smashed the 500-foot homer, which just still hasn't landed yet, far as I know. And then the Toronto manager called somebody on New York fat boy. Girardi's not fat. I was listening to the Yankee broadcast.
I didn't know that part. I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah, he's like, "Shut up, fat boy!" You could see, he clearly saying it. Who is he talking to? Very, very strange. And it was funny that the Yankee broadcast, Michael K. He's like, maybe he's talking to me. They were confused too. Who was he talking to? And then the next day, there was some gamesmanship with Toronto. They were trying to. The third base coach for the Yankees apparently was lurking out of the box, and they made a whole stink out of that. And then, of course, the pitcher Herman. That was more of an umpire thing. But I think Toronto asked for a check. He got thrown out of the game. So don't be surprised if I don't know what something goofy is going to happen there. But
I agree with you. Yeah.
And divisional rivals, they don't like each other. Toronto very much is not like New York. It's just, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying you can't resist. Just keep an eye. This will be an interesting game to watch. That said, your thoughts as far as Chris Bassett?
So Bassett's price range on DraftKings is just kind of loaded with guys that I'd rather play over him. I'm not saying that you can't play him. I just think that, he's not going to keep having these complete games and all this stuff. This is a pretty bad matchup for him. I'm pretty bearish on him today. I just think there's far, far better plays in that same kind of mid-range 7K range on DK. So I would be out on him, but I don't want to say you can't do it though.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. And my thing is I'm not sure how necessary he is because I already like enough players and I'm not making enough lineups. I'm not going to say you can't play him. I think he's fine, but he's not my favorite. And consensus-wise, where did Bassett land as far as our consensus? I would say around 5 or so. Yeah, 4. Strider, Burns, Cole, Bassett, Eovaldi. We didn't talk about Eovaldi. Just he's been great. We should mention that. He's facing Atlanta, tough matchup. He's just really expensive, and he's facing Atlanta. He's basically what it is.
He's kind of like Bassett for me, right? Like if I'm going to go up, I'm going to be going up to Strider, Cole, or Burns. So it's like he's going to get left out. I guess if you like organically land on him on a couple lineups, just like with Senga, I guess it's okay. But
yeah,
he's not going to be a priority for me. It's a pretty tough matchup, and we talked about all these watered down lineups today. Atlanta doesn't have a watered down lineup. I mean, that's
Sean Murphy.
Okay, that's a good point. But everyone else is where they should be. But yeah, you're right. No Sean Murphy. But
Albie's jumped up.
Darno is no slouch though. I mean, he's a downgrade, obviously, but he's not some scrub. So Atlanta has pretty much their A team going tonight. So it's peak pricing on Eovaldi in a bad matchup. So I don't know. I think I'd pass.
I'm checking.
I think the more important question with the Eovaldi is: do you go Eovaldi? Like if you don't want to go Strider Cole, do you go Strider Eovaldi, or do you go Strider Senga? I think if you're caught in that situation, I'd go Senga over Eovaldi.
So Atlanta, I'm just taking a peek at their plate IQ stuff. A lot of power, obviously, but the least amount of guys, the least amount of strikeouts is Albie's at 19.3%. So it's a bunch of dudes that can strike out. Obviously, the power is immense, and you're going to lose anyway. So if you're not going, if Acuna and Olsen, if Albies and Riley do their thing, forget it. You go to bed. But the upside, like what do you win when you get it right? As far as Eovaldi versus Cole, is there a distinct difference in ownership? I assume Cole's going to be distinctly more owned, which I guess that's the argument for. Let's see, Cole at 20%, Eovaldi at where is Eovaldi? Am I missing him? Oh, okay, so 20. No. We basically have the same, which is interesting.
Yeah, so no, I mean, I would totally play Cole, right? Or Senga.
Yeah.
Eovaldi.
And this is like, I guess maybe why I've been putting off talking about hitters because I like all these pitchers to like various degrees.
There's hitting so bad. And then I just pulled up our top stacks tool just to see what the Sims were saying, and I'm so disappointed because they have Seattle as the top stack, and then they have Milwaukee as the next top stack.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like I really want to pitch Bayo or Libator, So it's like, oh no, like I feel like this got even more complicated for me.
I just can't with Milwaukee. By the way, you mentioned Ruff. Like once we get, Ruff's coming out for Rowdy Tellez, unless something really goofy is happening in the game. It's like a 10-1 game and the game's over. Like any sort of important spot, he's gone. Just sort of thinking there's other pieces there too. Adames is really cheap. So like I think maybe you can run Adames and Bayo in the same lineup if you want to do something like that. You're looking at the Slate IQ, is that what you're talking about?
No, I was looking at the top MLB stacks and stack values, top opto percentage. It's in our premium content tab. So we got Seattle's number 1, Milwaukee number 2, then we got Tampa Bay number 3. I mean, just looking at these just shows kind of how strange the slate is. Like, we have the Blue Jays rated number 4, which I mean, I really don't mind that for tournaments. Like, no one's going to want to attack Cole. So, I mean, they're showing up with some really nice positive leverage. 9% optimal, 5% owns. Like, Toronto's a really, really strong, tournament option. But I wouldn't full stack Toronto. I would take like one-offs, I guess, or just do like a 3-man. Because New York does have a good bullpen. So
I'm looking at our consensus rankings, and I'm the lowest on Houston because they're number 1, and I got them 5. But I'll tell you, it was I had a hard time ranking these for the record. Like
me too.
So I was staring at it for 10 minutes, and I'm like, I have no idea because nobody really deserves the 1 spot.
Right.
I gave it to Boston, but like I don't feel good about it. Consensus wise, it's Houston, White Sox, Boston, Tampa, Seattle, Atlanta, Cleveland, Mets. And
So
you
like
left out Boston and Seattle.
Yeah,
But
like the Sims have like the White Sox is like the second to last best stack, and I'm like, great, like that was my favorite stack because I really want to go Cole Strider and then do a White Sox stack, and now I'm looking at that, I'm like, that's really 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 ugly. So I don't know, I don't really know what I'm gonna do now.
Yeah, I mean, I wish there was a way to sort of express, like, some days I feel really good about my 1 through 5, and some days I don't. And this is one of those days where it's just, look, you got to rank them. This is the rules, right? You got to put a number on it, and I don't know, man. Tell me why you have Houston number 1. I got Houston 5, and obviously facing a lefty, their 2 best hitters are left-handed as well. Facing Smiley, I'm not afraid of Smiley. Of course, Alvarez and Tucker hit lefties just fine, but they're kind of like the Yankees in a sense. It's like 2 guys and then a bunch of dudes. 4.75 team total against Drew Smiley. And like you said, you just sort of fell into it because you had to put somebody there. Do you love Houston though? I'm guessing you don't love Houston.
I don't love no. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't love Houston. The team total. I'm not really a believer in this Smiley resurgence. I think that there are enough cheap bats in the stack that you can full stack this team and get some of the premium stacks, premium bats with those cheap bats. I'm looking at you, Jose Abreu or Chas McCormick, something like that. And then you could still get Bregman, who I think is super, super affordable on both sites. You can do a little left on left with Tucker Alvarez. Like there are different ways to stack this team. The Vegas total is high. They're at home. I think there's a lot of contributing factors that lead me to Houston, but I don't have any kind of like, like you really have to like stack this team. Like, no, I don't. But I mean, I'd like to get a couple pieces of my single entry team and possibly maybe 1 or 2 in a cash build.
Bossbro in chat says, no way I'm playing Abreu. Yeah, Abreu's. I talked about this before. I get he's super cheap. He's a punt.
I mean that would be more of like if you're playing cash, like you're playing Cole Strider, like you're gonna have to get some uncomfortable cheap bats. Like I totally get it if you don't want to play Abreu in a tournament.
I can go backwards to extend it to last year and get a little bit more of a sample, but like this year, Bregman too. Bregman's just been terrible versus lefties. A 49 ISO, a 219 WOBA. That's horrendous. He's not striking out. I'll give him that. He's making contact. 2% strikeouts, hitting a lot of ground balls. Very bit of home fly balls. No line drives. Well, not no line drives. So not appealing. 19.5%. Abreu, 53 at bats, 61 ISO, 186 WOBA. And if you extend it back to last season, it's still not good. Like is Bregman just like kind of not good anymore? That's a good question for Carty. I mean, it's a dangerous question because. I think Arenado is better.
Don't even ask him that because he's going to be like, look at the long term, blah blah blah, and then he'll start, and then he'll start a big fight between him and Cheese. And,
what's that's good? I'm hearing good things.
It's only good if it like comes like
organically.
Organic, yeah.
I genuinely want to know. Like, I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah, I mean. I think
I'm actually genuinely curious.
You're trying to stir the pot, Ian. You're trying to stir the pot.
I genuinely want to know, like, because in my head, I feel like Bregman, like, when you think of the Astros, you're thinking of Alvarez first. There's the tiers, Tucker, and then there's a step down, right? Unless maybe you're doing it there. Do you still think of Bregman like you thought of him 2 years ago? I don't.
No, that's true. I don't think of him that highly, but I think of him a little higher than you do.
Fair enough.
And I'm considering salary. Like he's 2.8K on Fanduel and he's 4,200 on DK. That's a very he doesn't have to be the same guy that he once was at that salary.
Jeff Hot Hands in chat. I like that name. DK single entry tournaments. He's playing against us. Let's tell him the wrong thing to do. DK single entry tournaments. I was thinking Liebertor and Strider. So were we. Maybe you were listening 20 minutes ago.
That's fine. That's good fun.
What is the best option for SP2 if going with Strider? Would you go with Senga or Liebertor or go with Bayo? Yeah, I mean, maybe Jeff's coming in late. We had that whole conversation. Yeah, we think they're all worthwhile, right?
They're all fine. Well, I think Liebertor or Bayo is better than Senga. I mean, they're all fine, but I'd rather you go down. If you're not going to go all the way up to Cole, I'd rather you go down to Libator or Bayo. That's what I would do.
Brian's got a trick question for you. What bats do you like from Cleveland?
Jimenez, Rosario, Bell.
Yeah.
I know if I say Quan, Dean's going to yell at me.
No. You can play Quan.
But I kind of agree with Dean on Quan. Like I don't really want to pay $4,400 for a single and maybe a stolen base, maybe 2 singles. But
and also
really,
the chances of him getting knocked in, and the chances of this lineup doing damage, like it's not the best lineup, so maybe he doesn't get his 5th at bat because it's not as good, top to bottom. Not as likely to score if he gets on, but continue.
Yeah, I would say it'd be Rosario, Jimenez, Bell. That would be it.
Yeah. I was looking at, I'm trying to pull up his stuff on the fly. He's in the 2 percentile, the 2nd percentile. How do you say it? He's in 2 percentile of barrels. Does he have 1 barrel in the season? He's got 1 barrel in 145 batted balls.
That's
one lonely barrel. And his hard hit percentage is 3% as well. Like I know, this is a topic of debate on Twitter the other day. People were talking about a rise for Miami. I think it was a rise.
Yeah,
I want to say he's got like a 400 batting average, but it's like all singles, and he doesn't hit the ball hard, and good for him, I guess. But like that's not the kind of player. Like it's not the worst thing to get a single out of the guy, right? If you can do worse, but I like to shoot for homers, and he's just generally not the kind of guy that's going to get.
And Arise is the same price usually as Quan. They've been hanging his price around $4K, so it's like you're really gonna pay. Like, why pay that much for a hard hit single?
Arise in the 1 percentile of hard hit percentage, by the way, 7 percentile as far as barrels. So he's got 3 barrels in 132 plate appearances, 132 batted balls. So good for him. Any other questions, by all means, fire them off in chat. Happy to answer. 15 minutes until Crunch Time crew comes in. We have Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. We have, of course, Derek Carty and Dave Potts. If you don't want to make an entire lineup, you guys can just go ahead and play on Stat Hero. Stat Hero, you guys are aware, unique fantasy sports platform you already know and you love. It allows users to compete against the house instead of other players. The Searing 12 contest, that's over. The Searing 15 contest for NBA playoffs and Searing 20 contest for MLB Pick'em. They're just getting started. Join this free-to-play contest and win. Start your streak up. Keep your streak alive by playing each and every day. Build your streak and win prizes with consecutive wins, including swag, RG Premium, and cash prizes. $10,000 first prize for the Searing 15 and a $20,000 first prize for the Searing 20 contest. Use the promo code GRINDERS, GRINDERS. That's GRINDERS. 50% deposit bonus, up to $250. Get into the action today on Stat Hero. I think is that a typo from Travis, or is Travis just having a fun time? Okay, so he's trying to say Clevenger. Okay, he left off the R for savings, and he was asking if that's a different chat entirety. Yeah. So any interest in Clevenger? We don't. Yeah, we talked about this before, and it's fine if you weren't here.
This Cleveland lineup is so horrible. I don't really hate Clevenger. Like, if that's like your one bullet in a single entry, maybe I'd go down to Bayo over Clevenger. But if you're making a few extra teams, I really don't mind Clevenger at all, just because this Cleveland lineup is so bad.
Andrew wants to know who was the best catcher on DK. We lost Murphy. Who would you say is the best? We had the big dumper, Kyle Rowley. He took down the Green Monster, I think, twice today. How do you feel about as far as catcher specifically? Of course, Crunch Time crew is going to go around the horn and give their favorite plays position by position, but we're happy to delve into this as well. We can do that. Favorite catcher, is this sort of like whichever one fits, or is there somebody you're targeting?
Yeah, it should be maybe someone who's part of your stack, or obviously the big dumper, Cal Raleigh, or then Yanier Diaz for Houston, 2,300. I think that one. Yeah, he's officially in the lineup batting 7th, so he makes for a really good punt. I know that people like to punt catcher a lot, so yeah, Raleigh or Diaz, or anyone who's part of your stack.
And Bayo's ground balls are legit, man. 62.5% ground balls so far this season. I know the homers he's given up. He's given up his fly ball percentage is 23.6%, but almost a 30% homer to fly ball rate, which is kind of goofy, which yields almost 2 homers per 9. But I like Raleigh as well. I'm trying to see who else would be anybody I really feel like I need. Are both Contreras? Yeah, both the Contrerases are certainly interesting. The other part of the Liberatore thing is like some of the Milwaukee guys are pretty cheap. Like William Contreras for 3.7 is a fair price. Adames at shortstop is 4K on DK and 2.9 on Fanduel. And he's got power to bang one out for sure. So don't mind him. I don't hate the idea. I don't want to, but if I run a player against my pitcher, so be it. Whatever. Not my intent. I kind of mentioned it in passing, but I do like Christopher Morel leading off. Against your boy. Is it your boy JP France? Kind of, sort of, somewhat. Not really.
Before Liberatore was on the slate, he was my boy. I liked him quite a bit. Now he's kind of fallen a little bit in my rankings here. But originally, I still think I'd much rather play France than have any Cubs.
We have a sprint slate. I enjoy these kind of slates.
I love these kind of slates. I don't have to worry about any stupid West Coast games and any of that nonsense.
Yeah. Once 8:10, that's our last game. Our last game starts 8:10. That would be Chicago and Houston, as well as the White Sox at home versus Cleveland. I guess there's 3 late ones. Yeah. Atlanta versus Texas. Michael's saying, hey, how about we don't stack tonight and just do one-offs? Do 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. Just best hitter on every team. That's that.
It's probably not the best idea, but if there was ever a slate to do that, it might be this one.
Yeah. Look, I sort of joke about that, and we've had these conversations before.
It's not a good idea if you're playing large field GPP. Unless you have the almanac, which I have the almanac here. And hold on, I have something else. I think I have some other tools at my disposal. If I can find it, I don't know where it is. I thought I had a Magic 8-Ball lurking around here too. I got the precogs on layaway. They're available too. Like it's just one phone call away. So, if 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1 takes it down tonight, you'll know why. My boy Biff hooked me up. I had a rough day yesterday, so I got to bounce back for sure. KJ says, "What are the chalky stacks tonight?" That's a good question because I'm not really sure what the chalk is. What is chalk tonight? It looks like it's going to be Seattle.
I think so too.
And then Boston. I think Seattle and Boston probably. And then I guess Milwaukee's showing a little bit more ownership than I thought they would. This slate's very confusing to me. And then Cleveland is also showing some ownership, which I find strange also.
It's also odd.
I think ownership's going to get really spread out with hitting. That's what I think. Like if you like a stack tonight, just play them. Don't worry about this is not like one of those slates where it's like, oh, I need leverage or oh, I need, I don't think you really have to do that tonight.
Somebody in chat was asking about the Mets bullpen. I don't know offhand, but I'm pulling them up. 12th in Sierra for what it's worth. I've not seen like how much. Let's see where are they as far as xFIP. Oakland still the worst, by the way. Not surprising at all. The Mets xFIP are 17th. So I guess they're kind of middle of the road. I thought they were better than that, to be honest. But at least as far as advanced metrics, thinking about picking that ballpark. I just don't like. I don't like rostering hitters in that ballpark there. Paul Bear, he has no problem hitting out any ballpark, so for sure you can play him. And we haven't mentioned him all slate. I feel like we haven't mentioned the Mets at all. I thought Bradley was going to pitch today. Rumors he was supposedly up for it, but Fleming got the start.
Yep.
Bradley, of course, pretty big stud there for, at least in the organization, big prospect. I think he's been kind of uneven so far. But we haven't talked about the Mets. I guess it's just worth acknowledging their existence. Is there something different in that lineup today?
Sosa's producing, so I didn't want to talk about the Mets and how horrible they are, but
Hey, no, producer Steve, feel free to come on and give your thoughts as far as the Mets, because I'm sure.
Sosa.
He's a level-headed Mets fan. If you follow him on Twitter,
are we playing the Mets tonight, Sosa? Like, what's up?
Nah, I actually bet the Rays tonight.
Oh, so you know what we should do? We should.
Is this an
You should play the Mets.
We should play the Mets then.
You're a mush. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am a mush.
Like an emotional hedge? Is that why you bet the Rays? Just to kind of like at least like if I'm going to deal with the pain of the Mets keep on losing, you get at least win some American dollars off that. Is that the story here?
It's a good reason, but no, I just think they've been so bad that the Rays at plus money is why not take that? The Rays are the best team in baseball. The Mets have been terrible, so
yeah.
I don't.
Do we
I don't
believe
really
the Mets?
I don't hate it.
Do we believe the Rays are the best team in baseball? I know they have been. I understand that the numbers are and yada yada, but do we genuinely think this is the best team?
no, definitely.
I don't think they're the best, but I think that they're got to be top 5 by the end of it. I mean, they're really strong.
They got Glasnow on layaway as well. He's coming back soon. Also, he's a stud.
Yeah,
Assuming he's just good in his minor league game.
Yeah, just that game in general. It's just, and I think Brandon Lau and Rosarena and Franco, like those guys are not really going to get rostered. Lau's going to get rostered on Fanduel because he's really cheap over there. I think he's like 2.9, so I'm good with that. But as a general thought, they're not going to get a ton of ownership, and Tampa's annoying, obviously, because they'll swap guys in and out and just play matchups. They're trying to win. They don't really care about your DFS team, unfortunately.
No.
Do
Right.
you have any homers for the people? Anybody that's going to bang one out? I don't know what Tim. I don't know what your gimmick is. Your not so fun home runs.
I don't have a gimmick because I don't live in a legal sports betting state, so I don't ever look at the odds. But I really like Houston, so I think I'd go with like Kyle Tucker. But again, that's odds not considered. I'd go Kyle Tucker, and I'd go like Gavin Sheets. That's probably 2 that I would look, but I don't know what the odds are.
I can pull them up on the fly, and you can tell me if you like him or if you don't like him.
Yeah, do it.
Let's see. Gavin Sheets, we have the best place you can get, it looks like, is Fanduel. Fanduel plus 470. How's plus 470 for you?
Oh,
you don't like that sound?
Be a little. I thought it would be a little higher than that, like 550 or something.
They've tightened them up pretty good. They've tightened them up pretty good.
Have they? Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bit of a squeeze.
What is Kyle Tucker? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, Tucker. Let's see. He is. You can get him the best place you can get it. And this is why, love that FanDuel sponsors Crunch Time, but I'm seeing 2 spots for it. On FanDuel plus 285, and on Caesars 4-1 plus 400. This is why you shop around.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that Kyle Tucker plus 400.
By the way, Scores and Odds, scoresandodds.com. That's where you would find that. It's just a really huge time saver. You just go to MLB and you go to props, and you go specifically to home runs. You can do the same thing with singles and hits and RBIs and steals, strikeouts, earned runs allowed, all that kind of stuff. Huge time saver. There are not a lot of edges necessarily, but one of the biggest edges in sports gambling is price shopping. It matters so much.
What about you, What about you, Daniel? What are your home run calls?
Let's see. Who are my home run calls? Okay. I think somebody on Toronto gets the Cole. I say Bichette gets the Cole. According to Mr. Gerg, by the way, Sheets is plus 550 on DK, which okay.
That would be all right.
For some reason. Feel better about that one now?
Yeah, I mean, if you get him over 5, I'd be okay with that.
I don't love the weather today in Boston, and I like Bayo. It's weird because I think the Mariners are a good stack, but I think that's one of those you play it both ways. But I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go with let's see. Let me jump to Chicago as well. Let's pick on Battenfield. You said Sheets?
Yeah.
I'll take Luis Roberts.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, Christopher Morel. How did I forget my boy Morel? There you go.
No, not Christopher.
Yes, of course. He's a stud, man.
Unbelievable.
The Crawford boxes right there. You could bunt the ball over the Crawford boxes down the left field line in Houston. It's ridiculous. Jose Altuve is like 5'3", and he has a bunch of homers over that wall. Coming back soon, by the way. And not tonight just yet. Who was the last pitcher to kill a bird while pitching in a game? Well, it's kind of a trick question. I think you're setting us up because what happened today, I don't know if you saw it, Zach Gallen, he wasn't pitching in a game, but he was throwing, just getting in some work. And he hit a bird on a curveball. And, of course, it reminded me of the Randy Johnson situation many, many years ago. I believe that was spring training, though. So I guess that was a game. So, what are the odds? It's happened twice now.
Yeah. I didn't know about that Gallen thing. What's Morel's odds to hit a home run?
I don't know. Let's see. He's going to have 5 cracks at it, probably. 625 on Caesar. 4-1 on Fanduel.
Yeah.
625 on Caesar is not bad. I don't mind that. I'm getting the business from Chuck in chat saying, Robert, what a reach. He's got 12 in the season, 4 in his last 4. Yeah, well, there you go. I could have said Arenado. Would you have given me the business again? Because he's hit a homer in his last 19 games. Ever since Derek Carty has said one word about him. Arenado hurt him, and he wasn't happy about it. But Carty will be on momentarily, by the way. Carty, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. Okay, Altuve is 5'6", according to Cam. I'll take the under on 5'6", by the way. Like, maybe in cleats. Is he 5'6", Altuve?
That's what I would have guessed.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, he listed 5'6", not necessarily 5'6", though, right?
True.
I mean, I'm not going to bust out the tape measure on the guy, but officially I'll take the under. Like, I'm talking no socks, no Timberlands, no cleats. I'll take the under. Take the under on 5'6". Derek's got a question for you. It's a 2v2. Mervis, the rookie for Chicago, and Refsnyder bumped up in the lineup, one of the few righties, not Boston side, versus Vaughn and Bowers. Bowers, by the way, I saw in the bat, very high chance.
Vaughn and Bowers, and then Mervis and who?
Refsnyder, the outfielder for Boston.
Okay. I guess the one with Vaughn.
Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos is playing baseball tonight for the Mets. Somehow missed this. Is he in the pool?
He is on the I think he's on DK and not on FanDuel. He's
okay.
2K. He's 2K, and I think he's first base, third base.
He played last year, right? Cup of coffee. Yeah, cup of coffee last year.
Yeah.
16 at bats. He had a homer. I think he's a big power guy.
Yeah, I think
raw power 70 on Fangraphs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you just want to shoot for homers.
I'm fine with that for a punt, for sure.
Let's see. Huge strikeout projection. The bats got him projecting at about 29% in the major leagues. We don't care about that. We just care about what he does when he actually hits the ball. And he apparently can hit homers. Last season, in 427 at bats, he has 24 homers in AAA. This year, he's got 13 homers in AAA in just 38 games. So, yeah, the power seems to be real. Of course, that ballpark doesn't play for power, but, Polar Bear's got it, and he doesn't care about the size. By all means, I think he's in play. If you need a salary saver, I have no issues with it. I thought I recognized that name from last year. I think this is his first shot this year. Yeah, producer Steve's chiming in saying Vientos is good, but he's got to be a punt. He is a punt, not a lock. Yeah, Steve wants the homer calls. We just did them. You want to rehash yours?
Kyle Tucker and Gavin Sheets for me.
I went really chalky. If he doesn't hit 2, it's embarrassing. Luis Robert, of course, he's going to hit 1. We all know that. He's hit a homer in his last 5 games. Why would that streak not continue against Peyton Battenfield? And then I took Christopher Morel, and I believe I took somebody else. I took 3, and that's the rule. So if you take 3, you hit 1 out of 3, you're pretty good. You want to get a couple more names there though, because you want to at least get in the board. I think that's how Spidey does it. I think. I'm not sure how he does that, but
I don't know Spidey. I don't know Spidey's secrets. He's got some kind of Spidey model. I don't know. I don't know what he does.
I don't know, man. TJ was on earlier today. I don't remember what his Spidey calls were, to be honest. All right, we should be getting joined momentarily, shortly, by the Crunch Time crew. Do you have a favorite hitter? This is just. Who's somebody that's going to be almost for sure in your cash game lineup? I know we've kind of talked how we don't really love this slate necessarily, but Your favorite hitter.
Yeah, well, you already mentioned him, who's probably definitely going to be in my cash game build, and it might be in my single entry build too, is Luis Robert. Just because he's incredibly cheap. He kind of fits in all builds. Like whether I double pay it for pitching or just want to get exposure to a power bat. I think that he's pretty expensive on Fanduel, but on DK, he's only 3.8. So on DK, I'm definitely gonna. I really like Robert, and I really like Sheets too.
Producer Devin chiming in saying he likes Ref Snyder and Trammell for homers. I'll just tell you this about Trammell, man. Once a righty comes in, he is gone. Dude just like disappears, man. He gets pinch hit for so much. He's got to do it early. If he's going to do it, he better do it early. And Ref Snyder, I would imagine, also likely a pinch hit risk. I'm curious what the bat has on it. Carty will be on momentarily. Maybe you can speak to that as well, or it'll come up organically in the conversation. But I imagine both those guys, potential pinch hit risks. Do you care about that stuff, Tim? Pinch hit risks? You don't really care so much. Obviously, it's not ideal.
I care quite a bit because I only play single entries. So, like, I really like. I don't want to take shots on guys that have huge pinch hit risks. So
yeah, your at bats are precious.
And in cash games, you really want all your at bats. So
Trammell 38%, by the way. Yeah, not surprisingly. We do have the Crunch Time crew coming on. We have Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, Nolan Arenado. We have Derek Carty, the CEO of the Bat and the Blitz, Nolan Arenado. And we have Dave Potts. Dave Potts, of course, two-time millionaire, winner of the Musings. Roth, how are things in your world? Things are all good. How's Wednesday night treating you?
It's good, Nolan Arenado. It's good. Things are good. That clip that we posted was pretty great. I did not retweet it, Carty, because I love you too much, and I don't want you to get more dirt thrown on your wonderful name. But man, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's still only been league average this year, but I mean, even after this ridiculous, absurd hot streak. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. Like the timing of it is like every night we joke about it, and you're like, no, don't actually play him. And she's like, no, really, you can. And then every night he hits a home run. Like literally.
That has happened, and it hasn't been great, but I don't think it's going to keep happening. Let's say tonight, don't play him.
Okay, there you go. We'll see if that continues.
I saw this incredible stat on Twitter. I can't remember who to attribute to, but at the start of 2021, there were 8 players that have 70 homers and 230 RBI, right? A lot of good players in this. Aaron Judge, Pete Alonso, Matt Olson, Goldie, Yordan Alvarez, Vladimir Guerrero, Rafael Devers, and Roth. You won't believe who the last person is that's not in there. Who's the 8th?
I know. He's a guy who's not even really that good, so it's weird that he's on the list.
As I saw Cheese's tweet, I do believe this is Mr. Nolan Arenado. But he was in cores for
none of that. Right? None of that.
For none of
some of that. The first year, wasn't he?
No. What are you talking about?
And also, I mean,
that was not a Coors Field year. Derek.
Let's cherry pick dumb stats.
3 years. Let's do cherry pick 3 years. Yes.
Let's cherry pick RBIs. Come on,
Derek. This is a
DFS
show. You realize you get points for that. I know DFS is not your forte, but you get points for that.
I'm not so sure about that.
You do get points for that. I promise.
And look, let me.
I will say, Arenado's skill set lends itself better to DFS, but also, like in a real world sense, he's not awesome, and I really don't think like his power is as good as everyone thinks it is. Like he's getting by on smoke and mirrors right now.
Right now, for his entire career.
Not for his entire career.
He's hit home runs his whole career is the point.
Real fast, I saw this comment from Chuck. He said, I love when guys make definitive statements about something and it fails. And that, yes, does seem to be the case. But here's the deal. Like, Carty makes so many bold proclamations, and 9 times out of 10, they end up being great calls. And occasionally, you have an Arenado call.
And so for the one where he's wrong, he should just say he's wrong. Like, it's okay to be wrong sometimes.
Yes.
Here's the thing, though. I don't believe I am. Nolan Arenado hasn't. I mean, Cheese is going to love when I say it. His barrel rate is up to the 19th percentile now, guys. That means he's really good, right?
It has nothing to do with anything. It's how many DFS
It has
points
an
you score.
extremely strong correlation with power. It is a very predictive stat.
Welcome to my world, Dean.
Career.
This is more uncomfortable than I anticipated. I thought it would be fun. But
here's the thing. On the surface, it looks like he's doing the same thing he's done his entire career.
Yes, it does. Because he is.
Because he is. But here's the thing. His peripherals are completely different. So you have to ask, okay, how is he doing the same thing he used to do? And the answer is, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. He's probably getting lucky.
He's been lucky for his career. I understand.
No, he used to be an amazing hitter, one of the absolute best in baseball. I'm saying he's gotten older. His skills have declined, and it hasn't shown up in the surface stats yet.
I don't actually disagree with that at all. I disagree with you are trying to backdate and say he's been bad. He hasn't. He's never been bad. If you want to say he's going to be bad in the future, that's fine.
He's been above average in terms of his peripherals for the last 3 years.
That's fair. And well above average in DFS, which is what this show is about.
Right. But again, we're not playing contests from 2021. We're playing contests for today and tomorrow.
Right. And we haven't recommended him much at all this year, Derek. We haven't been recommending him at all. You're just going back and trying to pretend like he's not good. He's been an elite DFS player, and this is a DFS show. And you can't pretend like he hasn't been good.
But you keep saying he has been.
Yes,
has been
that's
doesn't
the
matter.
point.
We care about next. We care about what happens in the future.
And what the problem is, you keep saying he has been bad. You are the one who keeps going back and saying he has been bad. It's a lie. You're wrong.
Dean, can you break
it up? He can be bad in the future, and we'll talk about that when we get there.
The show is about trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future. That's the whole point.
We are, but you don't say that. That's not like you. Those aren't the words you use. You use past tense to make up a falsity. So moving forward, we can all agree he's not elite. That's not the point. The point is he scores a ton of DFS points, and it's a DFS show.
All I know is that this kind of content just crushes on ESPN. So I hope that we've got like 9 million viewers right now, because this is what it's all about.
The thing is, though, the great thing about this, I feel like, is that on ESPN, it's just like, well, not necessarily ESPN, but like, I know what you're getting at. You know, like the certain talking head shows, whatever, on any network, are like people just spewing stuff just to like say something outrageous and just like hope to get a reaction. Like, I feel like Cheese and I both actually believe in what we're saying and are like have reasonable things to back it up.
And what's super crazy in honest reality, we are almost probably identical in how good we actually think Nolan Arenado is.
Probably. I just kind of a jerk about it, and Cheese is nice about it.
People enjoy it, and I don't know if we enjoy it, but people do.
Hey, we can agree on this. I'm going to go myself and Tim, but shout out to Dave. Dave, not only spectacular in arguing about Nolan Arenado, he told you guys that the Spurs were going to win the lottery yesterday. I don't know if you guys heard that. He called it. He's like, yeah, the Spurs are going to win. It took a second, and he didn't even know it was even happening. He didn't know the lottery was even a thing yesterday. It took a minute or so. He crushes LOL. What doesn't Dave know is basically the question. Congratulations.
I don't know what that guy's name is with the super long arm still, even though you said it yesterday, but I'm rooting for him.
I'm actually wondering how Nolan Arenado is doing this, though, because his exit velocity is 15th percentile. His launch angle is 37th percentile. His exit velocity on fly balls, which are the ones that matter, 10th percentile. Like, how is he actually still hitting home runs? He's just like sneaking them over fences, right? He's just like pulling them down the line and hoping they go over. And like, that's his whole thing now. Like, is that really going to sustain itself?
It'll probably for tonight. He's probably going to hit another one tonight. I can tell you that. Dean, get out of here while you still can. Thanks, Dean. Thanks.
All right. Myself and Tim are out of here. Roth, take it over.
Okay, good stuff. As always. Hey, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crunch Time. It is sponsored by Fanduel and probably soon like Gatorade and Nike, and probably everybody's going to jump aboard with this content. Hey, this is the show where we're joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got Cheeseisgood, a.k.a. Dave Potts. What up, Cheese?
You know what's really up? I don't care about Nolan Arenado or not. I care about KFC chicken nuggets. I don't know if you guys have even noticed this. KFC came out with chicken nuggets about a month ago. I finally got over there today, and I love me some KFC, and I do love me the chicken nuggets. It was a glorious time.
Here's my concern would be that they're not fresh. Like, not enough people are ordering them, so they've just been sitting there under the heater for like 2 hours.
That might be the case at some places, but not here in Auburn. You usually have to wait for the chicken.
Oh, this
because like they make just enough, and there's a run on. Like it's never been sitting around.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. That's okay. I'll give it a shot. Before we move on, can I hear you pronounce the overall first pick in the NBA draft? Just your best shot at it.
Can I look up what his name is?
You just got to do it off the top of your head.
It starts with a W, I think.
It is. That was even better than I thought it was going to be. You're very close. You're very, very close.
What did you tell me now?
Wembanyama.
That's what I said.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. We got our guy Derek Carty as well. He is the creator, inventor, and CFO of the Bat and the Bat X Enterprises. What up, Carty?
Not much. Waiting for the regression to come, but otherwise doing great.
Carter, you have a favorite fast food place? You don't seem like you're a fast food crusher. You're not. I don't do a lot of
fast food. I mean, I'll do like burgers. I guess like a Five Guys burger, if I'm going to do a fast food thing, is like pretty solid.
Well, welcome to the brotherhood.
Otherwise, he's getting well-prepared insects.
Love well-prepared insects.
You got to prepare them just right.
As long as
you can't just like dig into the ground and be like, oh, here's some insects, eat them. Like, you know,
I've had some like chocolate covered ants and such. I've eaten crickets, eaten my fair share of crickets. I've had a cricket bar once. The whole bar was out of cricket. It was just crickets. Yeah. It was for a TV thing. We do weird crap trying to entertain. Anyways, hey, nobody wants to hear about crickets or Arenado. They want to hear about the slate tonight. And let's talk about it. Cheese, would you mind giving us a general overview of the slate?
It's a lot of pitching. We got aces. We got good cheap pitchers. We got pitchers in good matchups, pitchers in bad matchups. But there's very little offense to like, and it's pretty well spread out. It's like the good offenses are facing the good pitchers, and there's really not any terrible pitchers. Probably, I mean, you can make a case that a couple of them are bad-ish, but it's a pitching heavy slate and a slate where I end up all over the place with bats because I just don't like any of them enough to be heavy on.
Okay, very good. Well, let's dive into it. Carty, if you don't mind leading us off with a little pitcher talk. What's the play over on our sponsor site, Fanduel, which, by the way, if you haven't done so, sign up for the Fanduel Sportsbook. If you're in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to 1,000 smackaroos. That's dollars. That's what the kids are calling them these days. And bonus bets, terms and conditions do apply. Carty, let's talk pitcher.
Yeah, so Cheese said there's lots of pitching on this slate, which I wouldn't necessarily agree with. I'd say that there's lots of comparable pitching, but I don't think there's a lot of like high-end, like really, really good pitching plays.
I see one.
Yeah, that's a reasonable way to say it. There's a whole body. There's a big old glob of pretty good.
Yeah. With the exception of Spencer Strider.
Yeah,
who's
that
like in
guy's
a
good.
tier of his own tonight.
He's good.
So in cash on both sites, you're playing Strider, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
After that, on DraftKings, you need to figure out who to pair him with, and you need to figure out how you're going to get different in GPPs because he's going to be massively owned. And I think the guy that I like the most is Matthew Liberatore. He's kind of the cheapest of like that next like clumping of like 8 to 10 pitchers, and that's kind of enough. You know, he's a real prospect. You know, he's probably decent. He's in a good matchup against the Brewers, who are extremely strikeout heavy, and that's kind of enough for me on this slate because he doesn't even project that much worse than the expensive guys. Cole, Burns, Senga, Eovaldi, like he's like almost the same, and he's a lot cheaper. So I feel like that's just what you do here. You also have kind of in that range, though, you have JP France, you have Chris Bassett, you have, I guess, Mike Clevenger and Brian Bayo, and like all those guys are fine. Like, honestly, I think you just kind of play the ownership and salary game in GPPs because the difference between the top of that group, the Coles and the Sengas and whoever, and the bottom with like Clevenger and Bayo is like 3 DraftKings points. So just like, I'm not going to have a strong take on any of them. It's just like do game theory.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other names you want to throw out?
That's pretty much all of them.
It.
I
Okay.
those
All
are
right.
like 12 guys.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Cheese, what are your thoughts here? Start me on DK and on FanDuel. And I kind of want your GPP takes as well if you're just riding the Strider train or if you're trying to get different.
Yeah. So on FanDuel, they when they opened the slate, Libertor was not on it. And I was pretty much just going to say, just play all the Strider because you can kind of afford it. But Libertor is like super cheap. On DK, all these cheap options are kind of clumped together. But on FanDuel, he's 7,500, and like the Bassett's in France are over 9K. So I do love him on FanDuel. And you can goof around a little bit because, you know, an 11.5 Strider versus like, you know, 9,200 for Senga or 93 for France or 95 for Bass. I mean, you can use $2,000, but Strider's just so much better that's really what I recommend is Strider. Or if you really just want to play all the bats, just do a Libertor lineup.
Okay. And then on DK,
I'd save the spreading out for DK. That whole clump that Derek mentioned, yeah, they're close. It is weird how close, even down to like Bayo at 5,700 is to Cole and Burns. My second favorite spend up is Nathan Eovaldi. But it's not like I love playing him against Atlanta, and it's kind of tough to get two expensive guys. So most of my lineups, and I'm wildly split up between all these guys, between Bayo and France. I would rank them like Bassett and Libertor. They're both 7,400. Those are kind of my two favorites, and I think I have slightly more of them than any other SP2s. But I'm very close to like not quite 100% Strider, but honestly, it's like 98 or something goofy like that. And then essentially 15% of the next dozen guys, because they're all good, but the ones who are sometimes great have the tougher matchups. So they're not great. And the ones who are a little sketchier have better matchups. So it all evens out.
Okay. So SP1 is clear. SP2 is just like close your eyes and pick one of the 12 dudes for you, Cheese.
Yeah, and I think it's totally fine to go heavier on the cheaper guys. Like I don't think you need to go out of your way to spend up at SP2. If you have the money, great. I mean, sure, play Garrett Cole over Chris Bassett, but only if you're just sitting on the money.
Okay, Carty, do you have a favorite SP2 for like cash?
It's Libertor, but I wouldn't tell you you're wrong to play Bassett or France or even Clevenger or Bayo. I would say you're probably wrong to play one of the expensive guys. Like don't play Senga, Cole, Eovaldi, Burns in cash.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's talk about the stacks now. Cheese, you said you don't like them, and so you have all of them, but I'm curious where you are most landing.
Yeah. Sometimes like when a slate is like this and I really don't have a team that I like the team that appears like will probably score the most runs would be Boston. But it's just kind of a weird, like I don't love anything there, like other than Devers. So I don't actually really love them, even though I guess I'll say they probably score the most runs. The team that I have the most of by an odd amount, and I feel dumb saying it, but like if I had one lineup, it would definitely be this stack would be your Chicago Cubs. But not because there's not because they're like some
any reason
great team. This is just like I don't like any of these teams. I'm going to play this random team that does have some power and against a pitcher that we don't know, like JP France. He's made a couple starts. He walked a bunch of guys in the minors. It's conceivable that he's not good. I do think he's good, but I got to play somebody, so I'm going to play the Cubs.
Okay. Do you want to go through and name some of the other teams, or no? It's like literally everyone.
Sure. I mean, it really truly is everyone else, but Boston, Houston, St. Louis, and then I'm just so wildly torn on the White Sox Guardians game. Like, I really want to love both these offenses. I do kind of like the White Sox, especially for the salaries, but this is just one of my least favorite teams ever. And then Cleveland, like I hate Clevenger, but Cleveland without Ramirez and Naylor is such a nonsense lineup. That's why I can't get those teams ahead of all the others.
Gotcha. All right. Carty, you want to start naming some stacks, and maybe you have one that you really like.
Yeah, so I agree with Cheese that there isn't necessarily like a standout stack. I think the closest thing we have is the Astros. They're one of the better offenses on the slate. They're facing one of the weaker pitchers. It's a good stolen base spot. And they're really, really well priced, and they're not going to be overly owned. So Houston's definitely my favorite tonight. And then the bat, like right below them, sees a tier of like 6 or so teams. It's like Cleveland and the White Sox. It's the Red Sox. It's Tampa Bay. It's Seattle, and it's the Braves. And then below that is just a clumped up tier of like everybody else. So it's kind of like a 3-tier thing tonight. But the Astros I like the most because they're not going to be overly chalk. They do project the best. They are really cheap. And even though the Guardians don't have Jose Ramirez and Naylor, they're really cheap. The spot is good. They project well anyway. So they're kind of my favorites, I think, because you get a kind of a good combination of really strong projection, really strong point per dollar projection, and, reasonable ownership. So, it is the kind of slate where you literally can stack anybody. But those are the ones that I would gravitate towards the most.
Very good. All right, let's go position by position. We're pointing out, by the way, this is my fault for not asking for it. Let's get some likes up here. We got literally free content from 2 of the sharpest people in the business and the greatest sports weatherman of all time. Also, maybe the only. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Speaking of, I do have some important weather news that I'm going to be sharing with you at the end of the show. So don't go anywhere. Like as soon as we get towards lock, just stick around because I have some very important, very pressing weather news to discuss. Are you guys intrigued?
I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You should be.
Sure.
You should be. All right, but we'll hold off on that because we got to talk player by player, position by position. So, Carty, what are we doing here at the old catcher spot?
I think catcher's a spot that you probably just punt. Yainer Diaz, like I mentioned, I like Houston the most tonight. He's 2.3K. He's got the platoon advantage. He's a catcher. We say a lot of times that catcher has kind of been like a strong position lately. Mm-hmm. Tonight, that's really not the case. William Contreras against Liberatore, I think, is fine. I think Wilson Contreras against Burns is okay given the price. But, really, there's not a whole lot of catchers. So just give me the cheap guy that projects as the 4th best on the slate anyway.
Okay. Cheese?
I mostly agree. Like in a cash game, yeah, this is one of the rare days you can punt catcher. I would probably lean towards William Contreras. 37 is fair for him. But it's not a good spend up day. Like Raleigh and Travis d'Arnaud, it's just kind of, it's not what we usually see at the position recently. I don't have any real specific names to add. I guess
why is Jonah Heim 3.8 against Spencer Strider on FanDuel? Is that just
they're not adjusting for salaries for matchup? The guys are the same price every day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that just seems a little silly, but okay. How about we go to first base, Cheese?
So we're going to see this kind of all over the board. Like the best hitters are in less than ideal matchups, so it makes them, I don't know, kind of tricky. So Goldschmidt and Olsen, Burns and Eovaldi are pitching against. So they're not unbeatable pitchers, but they're not bad pitchers. I would say for the salary, Rizzo is my favorite first base play. On DK, I think Justin Turner and Josh Bell are going to be pretty popular as salary savers. Alonso is just behind Goldschmidt and Olsen for me. And then it's just kind of people with names.
Yeah. All right. Carty, you want to give me some people with names?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Cheese. Rizzo looks good. Justin Turner looks good. Josh Bell looks good. The only other name I'd throw in, and people are going to hate me for it, is Jose Abreu. Because everyone hates him. He's totally washed up. There's no chance he can hit a baseball anymore, which is obviously not true. And the spot is good and the price is good. And so I'm fine with Jose Abreu. Certainly as part of your Astros stacks, he's viable. But even just as like a salary saving cash play to be able to spend elsewhere, I'm fine with that too.
Okay. I'm Googling his stats for this year because I know
you don't want to. You'll go blind.
Any home runs? He has not.
No.
He has.
No.
Oof. That's not great. Okay, let's go to second base, Carty.
Yeah, I mean it's so weird with Abreu because like he's been so bad this year, but he's just been old. He's been like elite for years. Like it's like a cliff. It's not like he was like tailing off the last couple of years or anything. He's just been out of nowhere has been bad. And I think there's some whispers that maybe he's one of these guys that's like older than he actually is, but it still doesn't really explain just falling off.
There should be some sort of decline, not just. Yeah.
So he's probably going to get better going forward, at least to some extent.
Yeah. All right.
It is weird that we still have those rumors of like maybe this guy's 43. Like you would have thought that would have been totally done with years ago, but I would love to know for sure when his actual birthday was.
Yeah.
Maybe after he retires, he'll let us know what the truth of the matter. All right, Carty, second base.
Second base is not great, to put it mildly. I think Andres Jimenez is probably the top play on the slate. I mentioned liking Cleveland. It's a big park upgrade. It's the best park in baseball for power. Clevenger is not the pitcher he used to be. And it's a decent stolen base spot for a guy who can steal as well. So Jimenez for 2.8 on Fanduel looks really good. Even at 4K on DraftKings, he's fine because I don't really love the cheap options on DraftKings. Like to get anything resembling a discount, you got to go like all the way down to like Tyler Freeman or Owen Miller. And I mean, you can, I guess, but I'd probably rather just play Jimenez. On Fanduel, Brandon Lau is pretty reasonably priced. Gleyber Torres is pretty reasonably priced. But yeah, that's kind of second.
Okay, very good. Carty, Cheese, your thoughts at second?
Pretty similar on the DK side. It's like this clump of 6 or 7 guys who are over 4,000 that you don't really want to play any of them, but they're also just good enough that you don't want to play the cheap nonsense. I would definitely play Jimenez in cash. Chris Morel is my favorite spend up on DK, and then on FanDuel you could also play Kiki Hernandez as second. And like Lau, Jimenez, Hernandez are all under 3K, so you don't need to spend up to get someone pretty good there.
Okay, how about third?
Yeah. As much as I don't know what to do with the Red Sox, I do know that I'm playing Devers. On FanDuel, I love that Chris Morel is $4,000 because it means I can just play them all by myself, and that's what I'll do. Bregman is very interesting. I think who was I looking at? There was somebody random. I lost him. Sorry. Eugenio Suarez. Like, I like Bayo. He gets a lot of ground balls, but at least Suarez hits the ball in the air, so I don't mind him on FanDuel where he's 29. Justin Turner, you can play it first or third. I would, in a stack, you want Turner and Devers. And if you can afford Devers, just play him instead anyway.
Gotcha. All right. Carty, you eating those Morel mushrooms or are you looking elsewhere?
Morel's fine, but pricey on FanDuel. I like Alex Bregman. I like Houston tonight. He's one of their better hitters. He's cheap on FanDuel. He's 2.8. Yeah. So even on DraftKings at 4.2, like I think he's a good play. It's another position where there's not a lot to go down to. Like you have Patty the Tooth, but he's only 300 less. You can go all the way down to Jake Berger at 2.8, and he's fine, I guess. But really, it's kind of like I think you got Bregman. I like the Turner call on FanDuel. Austin Riley on FanDuel is cheap enough where you can definitely play him, or just take shots on guys for homers or in your stacks. Suarez, Wisdom, Matt Chapman. They all have power.
Okay, very good. How about shortstop, Carty?
It's weird. Neither of us mentioned a certain scorching hot third baseman, but we'll move on to short.
He's playable. He's absolutely playable. I'm saying I'll handle that. Shortstop.
So I mentioned it's a really good stolen base spot for Cleveland. Clevenger is very easy to steal on. So on DraftKings, I think Ahmed Rosario for 3.7 hitting second going into this park where there's also lots of home run potential. I think he looks really good. On FanDuel, pricing is tighter among the top guys, so I think you can play any number of guys there. You have Jeremy Pena leading off for the Astros, who I really like. He's more expensive on DraftKings, and you can certainly play him there. But on FanDuel, he's a lot easier to get at $3K. You have Willy Adames, who's got the platoon advantage against Liberatore for 2.9. You have Swanson in a decent spot. You have Rosario. And you have Corey Seager. Even though he's against Strider, like Corey Seager's back. No one's going to play him. Some people might not even realize that he's back. But especially against Strider, like no one's going to have him. But he projects as like the third best shortstop on the slate because he's Corey Seager. And he's going to be super low owned. So I like Seager quite a bit in tournaments.
Okay, great. Cheese, your thoughts at short?
I kind of like spend up to be different and just hope a good hitter hits a homer off a good pitcher, which would be Seager or Bo Bichette. But certainly like on FanDuel, I think Pena and Adames, Rosario kind of make the most sense. It's a very deep position. Like I can go like 10 guys deep, like even down to like Swanson, Anderson, Lindor, Crawford, Kiki Hernandez. Like I kind of like all those guys. So I'm fairly spread out at shortstop. If I'm just going to pick one random guy, it's going to be Bo Bichette.
Okay. Can I give a Roth weather bomb of the day?
Always.
Wander Franco. Bam. It has nothing to do with weather. Something in my head is telling me he's hitting a bomb tonight. Is that a crazy thought? Can't be. He's good.
I would only say I think the weather's bad though.
Oh, is it really? I don't even know where he's
Other
playing.
than that, I love it.
Yeah. All right. How about a little outfield? And Cheese, I got a question. Rob says we need Cheese's take on the Yankees nonsense going on. Is there nonsense I'm missing? Is there drama?
I guess I don't.
Is this like the judge sign stealing
Oh,
stuff?
the judge thing. All right. Yeah. It's a non-story.
That's not nonsense. Like if you are looking at the catcher to see if he's telling you where the pitch is going to be, that's not cheating. Like that's good baseball.
So he was
literally done that for 100 years.
So he was looking at his teammates in the dugout, which also because the pitcher was tipping his pitches.
Yeah, that's on the pitcher. Like
exactly.
This is not like the Astros thing where you're using technology to cheat. That's flat out cheating, and they should all be fired. If you can get what the pitcher's doing, and have your teammate tell you, that's baseball.
Yeah, that's in agreement. Okay, how about the outfield, Cheese?
Alvarez is the stud I'm paying for, as probably most people will. I do like Judge as well. Lewis Robert, probably the chalky-ish cheap DK guy. I don't know what it is with the Cubs. I love Seiya Suzuki tonight. Outfield is not nearly as strong as it usually is. Like, kind of like at first, the spend-up guys have tough-ish matchups for the most part. And then the cheap stuff is it's less exciting than usual. I mean, like, Ref Snyder's fine, but maybe he only gets a couple at bats. Like, I don't know. I don't like anybody in the outfield is the real answer.
Wow.
And so give me like just one elite spend up, like an Alvarez or a Judge. Give me something in the mid tier, like a Robert, a Suzuki, that kind of thing. And then give me something cheap, like Gavin Sheets, for example, all the way down to like Willie Calhoun even, or Tyrone Taylor. Just taking complete random cheap shots to fill in the last spot.
Okay, Carty, this is odd. I feel like usually we're like, oh, the outfield, you got 92 great players, but not so much.
Yeah, outfield's not awesome tonight. I like the Astros guys the most, Yordan Alvarez, but also Kyle Tucker. I think it's a good spot for both of them. I do like Luis Robert, like Cheese said. George Springer, even though he's against Cole on FanDuel, is too cheap at 2.8K. So I like Springer over there. And then you kind of have like your cheap nonsense stuff to like just make stuff work. Like Robert F. Snyder, I think, is good today. I think some of the cheaper Yankees guys, as Waldo Cabrera, like Darren Ruff is 2K on FanDuel. Andrew Benintendi on DraftKings, that kind of thing is probably what I'm looking at.
Okay, very good, guys. We've got 12 minutes or so until lock. How about some home run calls? Carty, you want to give me what the bat tells us is the man most likely to hit a bomb tonight?
The man most likely to hit a bomb tonight, according to the bat, is Yordan Alvarez.
I guessed that last time and I was wrong. I should have guessed it this time. You want to give me another name that you found interesting that maybe coming in at better odds? Or just like
odds, if we're talking betting, I would have to look. But in terms of just like DFS guy that people aren't thinking about, Patrick Wisdom projects well for a home run.
Very good. All right. Cheese, you got a couple names for me or just one?
I was going to say Wisdom as well, so I'll just go right in front of him with Seiya Suzuki.
Okay.
Back to back.
Okay. Let's take some QQs, gentlemen. Let's dive into it. As always, make sure you hit us with that little thumbs up. It's good content. You can't argue it. It's good content. Hit the thumbs up. That's all we ask. It's free. It's good and it's free. Those things are rare in life. I got to scroll up, get some QQs from the RG Discord where all the cool kids are hanging out. Greatness is Fanduel GPP Cheese, France or Senga at pitcher in a Fanduel GPP. Ooh.
I don't love them on FanDuel, but I would go Senga.
Okay. FanDuel cash question, Carty, a 3v3. Adames, Judge Abreu, or Pena, Robert Suzuki?
It's probably Pena, Robert Suzuki.
Very good. Let's see. Hey, if you guys have any questions, get them on in. We've got about 10 minutes until lock, and we could use the QQs. Robert G says, we'll give this to Carty. What do we think about Austin Riley? His launch angle is down quite a bit. Are we still bullish long term? Is that something that you have like quick access to?
Yeah, I do. So Austin Riley, yeah, his launch angle is definitely down this year. He's, as much as Cheese is going to jump on me for saying it, it is a small sample so far.
Carty, his WOBA is 318. That's all the math we need.
You're not throwing in the towel on him, though, Carty.
No. I mean, obviously, you have to adjust your expectations a little bit. Like, you're not going to be as high on him as you were at the start of the year. And tonight, the spot is not, amazing by any means. He's facing one of the better pitchers on the slate. But if you're doing a Brave stack, like, he should be a part of it.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Andrew Martinez says, Lindor? Question mark. No other thoughts, just Lindor. Cheese?
That's the case of like there really are like 10 good shortstops, and he's somewhere closer to 10th than to first, but they're all really close. So he is playable.
Okay. Achilles says, I faded Cheese's advice on Arenado because I couldn't trust someone that didn't like cheese. Carty seemed more trustworthy. Now I feel like an ass. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. Little Tunchi says, Carty, you want Zanino or Yainer?
Yeah, Yainer.
Yainer?
I assume it's Yainer.
Is the answer? Which one do you prefer? I'm sorry.
Yainer.
Yeah, Yainer. All right.
Yeah, I like the way Roth says it.
Yeah. Chiching Lazamaraz says, that's the name. 2v2 Cheese, Abreu Pena or Olsen Tim Anderson?
I prefer Olsen Anderson.
Okay. John says your safest SP2 in cash. Carty, who is the safe? I know you hate safe.
Safe is never what you should be going for. You should be going for best. You should be going for highest expected value, best probability. Like there's no safe.
Okay.
Matthew Liberatore is the guy that I like, though.
Okay, very good. What are your thoughts, Cheese, on Brenham or Pham?
I would lean Brennan.
Okay. Carty, can we play Escobar and DK Cash at third?
I mean, he's not a guy that I was really considering. I don't think so. If you want to go cheap at third, like I'd probably prefer playing Jake Berger for the White Sox. I mean, I guess you could play Escobar, but
the RG projections love Escobar today. Like more than I like. He's the top third baseman just ahead of Devers, which I'm not sure.
Wait, just like straight up raw points.
Straight up raw points. It's Escobar, Devers, Suarez.
That seems
so. I feel like that's a way over appreciation just because he's batting second.
Yeah, I mean he's hitting second, but it's still an extreme pitcher's park. It's some of the best pitching weather. Like he's facing like a decent enough pitcher. Like he's not like Devers talent level. I don't see what about the matchup would make him that good. The bat has him like, I don't know, like way down. Like I don't even see him here. Like the 15th, probably 15th. No, he's fourth from the bottom. So that's a big gap.
Okay. Hey, just got a note from Crazy Coop. The Astros roof is open and it's 85 degrees tonight. That's what he said. The Astros roof is never open.
I have not gotten a notification.
They are also playing the Cubs tonight.
Let me see about this.
Astros
roof is closed tonight.
What? Well, why would you tell me that it's open? Because I got really excited when you said that.
I mean, unless they literally just made the decision and like tweeted it out to change it, but they've had posted all day that it's closed.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know if that was a joke or I don't know, but I don't like it.
Drop a source if you see something.
Yeah, if you see something, let us know. If so,
it's like in the 80s there. Like that's not a roof open kind of spot for the Astros.
Right, but also ironically, this is as nice as it's going to be for the next 5 months at 85 degrees. So like, they should open. They're not. They don't, but they should open it on a day like today. Michael says, "Cheese, Guardians or Brewers in GPPs?"
Guardians.
Rodriguez or Tucker in DK Cash?
Tucker.
DK GPP Cheese 3v3. Diaz, Crawford, Yordan, or Contreras, Adames, Robert?
Contreras, Adames, Robert.
Carty, Fanduel Cash, T. Anderson or B. Lau/Low?
I'd probably go with Low or Lau.
Which, yeah, I hate them. I hate them all three of the Lows and Laus. Chinatown, DK Cash for Cheese. Do you agree with Carty that all the way down at SP2 is okay? Is Bello in Cash a little crazy?
I'm kind of okay with it. I mean, I would rather get up to 74 with Bassett or Liberatore. I don't think it's wildly wrong to go with Bello in Cash now.
Okay.
I like the comment. If Houston opens the roof, Jose Abreu might be able to hit a double.
That's good stuff, Dean. That's good. It is closed for what it's worth. The roof
that's what I
Houston
thought.
is closed, which is a bummer. And if you give me false information again, I will hunt you down and murder you. No, I won't do that. And hopefully we don't get in trouble on YouTube for me saying that. FanDuel Cash, Carty, Ruff and Yordan or Robert Pena?
Robert Pena.
I just got to say, in the Discord, Keith just put in the tweet from the Astros. I didn't realize how great Francis' mustache is. I'm going to back off my Cubs a little bit.
Oh, look at that stash with the glasses.
That's legit.
Like, he looks like is it like the Groucho Marx thing where you get like the nose and the mouth? Yeah, he's got a little bit of that going on. Is there a mustache in those, or did I make that up?
There is.
There is. All right, good. Hey, we've got about 3 minutes until lock. King of Smacks is with a 4-man Houston stack, Carty, with a Cleveland 2-man and Boston 2-man work with Bassett.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Ooh, okay. Cheese, if you're playing a Guardian stack, would you play Brennan or one-off Ref Snyder in a single entry GPP?
Brennan with the stack.
Very good. FanDuel GPP Cheese, Mervis or Zanino? I do have 2 other Cubs in this lineup.
I like Mervis, even against the stash.
Okay. Carty, FanDuel GPP with Strider. If you can only do one combo, would you rather a 4-4 Yankees White Sox or Mets Red Sox?
Yankees, White Sox.
Okay. DK single entry GPP cheese 3v3. Libator, Trevino, and Cabrera, or Bello, Gomes, Wisdom.
Bayo Gomes, Wisdom.
Okay. To follow up, cheese. You said find the 7,400 for SP2 and DK Cash. You using that for Bassett or Libator?
It's so close. I slightly prefer Bassett, but I mean that's like I have literally the exact same amount of those two. I would say Bassett, but I don't feel strongly at all.
Okay. Carty, in a FanDuel tournament, just a couple minutes until lock, guys, would you play Cole over Strider and full stack Houston and Atlanta, or should you just pay all the way up for Strider?
Ideally, you get up to Strider. I mean, Cole is fine, but Strider is kind of in a tier of his own tonight.
Okay. Let's see if we got anything else. Don't forget, stick around. We've got breaking weather news coming up right at lock. Or if we don't get any questions, it'll happen right now.
I am legit excited about this.
You shouldn't be. It's devastating. Peter says, how does Carty feel about a Rangers stack with Arenado?
Come on, you're going to read the troll questions?
I didn't realize I was like halfway done with the question before I saw it was a troll. John Brockmeyer says, can I play Bello and DK Cash, Carty?
You can. I'd prefer to get up to that like 7-4 range, but you can play him if you need to.
Okay. Jay Sam's with the most important question of the day. Why aren't they just playing the Rays every day?
Well, for the record, I absolutely am. But I still can't. Carty doesn't understand the Arenado thing. I don't know how anyone understands the Rays thing. This is some wild stuff. Are they really the best team in the history of sports? It seems like they can't be.
No, seems unlikely.
So you'd almost say that you think they're overperforming and their surface stats aren't indicative of their talent level. And what they'll do.
And I definitely wouldn't say they've been bad because that would be absurd.
DePrince, Burger or Bregman on FanDuel, Carty?
Sorry, question again?
Yeah, it was Burger or Bregman on FanDuel. You like Bregman a lot.
Bregman for sure, yeah.
Yeah, you were a Bregman fan. All right, we're coming up on the lock. I will give you guys the breaking news. It's actually not that important. I really built it up way more than I should have. So I have not had a vacation during baseball season for like 10 years because it's baseball season. And if I take the time off, I leave, hang everybody out to dry. But my dad is getting married and he did not realize it's baseball season. He was foolish.
He didn't schedule it around your baseball schedule.
Yeah.
How inconsiderate. Okay.
Very rude of him. And it's out of the country. So I'm going to be gone for like 10 days. You will have no Kevin Roth weather for 10 freaking days. But you will have weather. We are bringing in another meteorologist, but he can't be named because he's on TV.
It's definitely Kirkwood.
It's Kirkwood. The 2 points. It's so we will have things updated. It's just there's not going to be like last minute tweets or anything like that. But the posts on the weather page will still be.
And when is this?
Tomorrow. I'm gone. Yeah,
okay.
Today.
Are you allowed to tell us what country you're going to? That was kind of mysterious.
Yeah, no, I'm going to Ireland and the UK.
Wow.
So,
yes. Yeah. Can I come? Does he need a best man?
Yes, actually. Yeah. Come along.
I'll be the ring bearer. Whatever role you got for me, I'm in.
Come on. We can all make it happen. Sorry for not getting. Says tomorrow you didn't give us any warning. Yeah, this was my warning. I will not be here for 10 days, but the page will be updated. If the forecasts are like horrible, don't blame me. But this guy is a legitimate, very good meteorologist. He is a DFS player. I feel confident everything's going to go really well while I'm gone. So that's that.
I'll tell you guys what I think.
Let's hear it.
I don't think Roth's dad is getting married. I think Roth is actually a secret DK Onyx member, and one of the trips you could win last year was Ireland. That's what I think is going on.
I looked through the prizes randomly, even though I'm like the lowest tier.
Randomly.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be out for a little bit, but this is gonna be like my little all-star break. It's gonna be kind of like break it up a little bit. Anyways, I'll be back again, and nothing will change other than a few days. Okay, hey, with that, I think we are going to bounce on out of here. So for Cheese, for Carty, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And these two may catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.